My name is Lacey Calder, 38 years old. Sunlight threads through the bay windows of my parents' formal dining room, shattering on the crystal glasses into tiny prisms that drift across the tablecloth like warnings. The familiar choreography of Sunday ritual tightens around my ribs as Dad carves pot roast at the head of the polished mahogany table, each slice measured, precise, a metronome for control. I adjust the burgundy linen napkin on my lap and try to breathe past the perfume of rosemary and history. Just a small piece for me, Dad, I say. He doesn't look up. You're too thin, Lacey. Always have been. The knife slides, the portion lands heavy on my plate, and the old script continues without pauses. The front door bursts open, a gust of cold air carrying the chaos of another orbit. Vanessa sweeps in with Mark and their 3 children, backpacks dropping like small explosions, chairs scraping, voices layered. "Sorry we're late," she announces, tone bright as a bell. Someone keeps ringing in a quiet church. Her eyes flick, alive with an excitement I recognize as a bad omen. Traffic was terrible by the outlet mall. She fumbles the word, doesn't care. Mom stands instantly, cooing over the grandkids, smoothing hair, handing out kisses like party favors. Dad meets Vanessa's gaze and something silent passes between them. A flicker I've known since childhood, the telegram that always arrives before I learn a decision has been made without me. "Well, we're all here now," Mom says, settling. "Charles, finish serving so we can eat while it's hot." We pass dishes. We make small talk. Mom asks about my latest architectural project. I tell her the city approved the waterfront redesign. She smiles like a teacher, recognizing good penmanship. Dad quizzes Mark about the market. The kids complain about vegetables. It is all so normal I feel queasy. "So," Vanessa says, voice rising above the chatter, "we're moving into your lake house next week. We've got foundation issues with our place." My fork freezes midway. "What?" "It's just sitting empty anyway," Dad says, casual tone, watchful eyes. "They need a safe place. Family helps family." "I get the blue bedroom," Vanessa's oldest son announces, bouncing. "No fair," his sister snaps. "Mom said I could have that one." Their argument becomes a muffled hum because I'm busy noticing details. The way Mom doesn't look at me when she says, "Your lake house has plenty of room." The way Vanessa's smile curls when she sees my shock. The way the children, already picking rooms, betray the timeline. This wasn't spontaneous. This was scripted. 6 years. 6 years of sweat and refinishing and money I didn't have but found. $420,000 to buy the place, another $95,000 to mend what storms and neglect had broken. I handled the flood damage alone 3 years ago, while they were all sending photos from a Caribbean deck, sunset, cocktails, matching linen shirts. That house isn't just property. It's the place I learned to sleep without triple-checking the locks, the place I learned I could rebuild myself. 7 months tops, Dad adds, until their foundation work is complete. I set my napkin down. The shift inside me is quiet, but it rearranges the furniture in every room. "You've already decided," I say, no question in it. "Don't be dramatic, Lacey," Mom murmurs, that practiced glide past my no. "This is what families do." Dad taps the carving fork against porcelain. "We help each other." Vanessa leans back, entitled ease radiating. She has always taken. I have always given. Our parents have always called it love. Not this time. I reach into my handbag, draw out a crisp manila folder, and place it on the table. "The contractors start Monday," I say, opening to renovation contracts and city permits. Dates line the margins, 3 months ago. 9 months, down to the studs. Silence falls like dust after a wall comes down. Dad's knife hovers midair. Mom's water glass pauses halfway to her mouth. Vanessa's smile cracks. "You can't be serious," Vanessa says, voice climbing. "We already gave notice at our apartment. Where are we supposed to go?" I take a slow sip of water. Somewhere else. "Lacey." Dad sets down his knife, corporate negotiator tone unboxed. "Be reasonable. Your sister has 3 children." "You can't expect us to live in an unsafe house," Mom adds, nodding for emphasis that's supposed to pass as empathy. I don't. I meet Dad's eyes. "I expect you to find housing that doesn't involve taking mine." Vanessa's lips flatten. She shares another look with Dad, an old play called from a familiar book. I know the sequence. Demand, guilt, threat, leverage. Somewhere in the back of my mind, a memory flickers. Standing alone in knee-deep water at the lake house, lifting swollen photo frames out of sludge. The phone silent because everyone was too busy. The air in the dining room is too warm. The crystal catches light. Tiny prisms dance across the table like confetti at the wrong party. Dad leans forward. Lacey, this situation may influence certain decisions about the future. He doesn't say inheritance. He doesn't need to. The thread is a family heirloom. Poor planning on your part doesn't constitute an emergency on mine, I say evenly. He blinks. It's his own mantra, polished by years of clients who arrive unprepared. I watch him recognize it, then decide whether to hear it from me. I stand, sliding the folder into my bag. The permits are filed. The security system is active. The schedule's set. Sit down, Lacey, Dad says. Steel under velvet. We're not finished. I am. I look at the children. Bright. Confused. Already taught to misname taking as sharing. It's not your bedroom, I tell the oldest gently, and it's not your lake house. I walk out. The door closes with a soft click that's louder than any slam. Outside, the late autumn air is cold and honest. My hands shake only when I'm alone in the car, 20 miles of interstate yawning ahead. I set the phone on the passenger seat. It lights up. Dad, then Mom, then Vanessa. Calls stacking like plates. I don't answer. At the rest stop, I dial Miguel, my contractor. He picks up on the second ring. All materials delivered, he says, before I speak, always a step ahead. We're ready for Monday, 7 o'clock a.m. Good, I say, hearing my voice steady itself in the speaking. Let's move the dumpsters to block the garage doors. I'm concerned about unauthorized access. Already planned, he says. Smart locks tested. Cameras at all entry points. Something unfurls in my chest that isn't anger or fear. It's confidence. The quiet kind that arrives after you do the hard thing and your spine realizes it won't break. Thanks, Miguel. Back on the road, the sky shifts to indigo, the color of a bruise that's healing. The phone thrums again with messages. I swipe to do not disturb. At home, I leave the lights low and drop my keys in the bowl by the door. The apartment smells like cedar cleaner and rain. On the counter, I lay out the folder, stamped permits, signed contracts, a project timeline. 9 months of work, yes, but the first demolition started long ago, the day I stopped believing family meant unlimited access. I picture the lake house in the morning, the gravel drive, the cone line, the sawhorses, the clean bite of a blade through old framing. I picture a moving truck idling at the road, Vanessa's lipstick the same burgundy as these napkins, her smile trying to turn no into maybe. I picture myself standing between what was and what will be. On my phone, I draft a text to my building's night manager. Heads up, if anyone asks for me, I'm unavailable. I draft another to myself. Childish maybe, but true. You did not imagine it. They announced, not asked. I try to sleep. The past rustles. Floodwater up to my shins. The smell of mold and river. The slap of ruined drywall. The photo of my face I found later, warped beneath glass, smiling with a man I used to love. The day I hauled it to the dumpster and realized I could let go of a version of my life without dying from it. Sometime after midnight, my phone screen pulses in the dark. A text from an unknown number. Pastor Williams would love to drop by for dinner sometime. Family harmony matters. I stare at the glow until it dulls. There it is, the next lever, morality dressed as invitation. In the morning, I wake before the alarm. The lake wind will be sharp, the air metallic with sawdust and new beginnings. I make coffee and drink it black, standing at the window while a thin band of gold draws itself across the horizon. My phone lights with Miguel's message, a photo of the crew lined up, hard hats bright as coins. See you soon, he writes. On the table, the manila folder sits like a small, loaded object. It's astonishing how quiet a boundary is when it's finally built. I slip the folder into my bag, tie my hair back, and pick up my keys. The apartment door clicks shut. By the time I reach the highway, the day has opened into clear light. I picture a moving truck turning onto a road blocked by cones. I picture a key jamming uselessly in a smart lock. I picture the exact moment a pattern ends. No slammed doors, no theatrics, just the clean, structural note of no echoing through the studs. The phone buzzes once more. I let it. I press my foot to the gas and drive toward the sound of demolition. Monday morning arrives with the kind of cold that bites through gloves, the sky a low ceiling of pewter clouds. My coffee sits cooling on the counter as I watch the live feed from the new cameras at the Lakehouse. Orange cones already line the drive. A sawhorse barricade stretches across the gravel entrance like a thin, bright backbone. Miguel's crew moves with the efficiency of men who know how to claim a space before it's challenged. Then the rumble comes, a moving truck lumbering into the feed, its burgundy logo glaring like war paint. My phone buzzes. "They're here," Miguel texts. By the time I park behind his pickup at the property, exhaust already hangs in the crisp air, mingled with the sharp scent of pine and gasoline. The moving truck idles at the road, tires spitting gravel. A figure climbs down from the passenger side. Vanessa, of course. Designer sunglasses pushed up on her head, hair styled for war rather than work. "What the hell is this?" she snaps, pointing at the barricade. "These men won't let our movers through." Ray, the foreman, stays at my side, clipboard in hand, steady as stone. "Permits are posted, ma'am. Demolition starts today." I walk forward, measured pace. As I explained yesterday, renovation begins this morning. I hold up the folder, my proof, though she doesn't even glance. Mark steps out slower, shoulders hunched, lips pressed in a thin line. He doesn't echo her words. He doesn't say anything. Vanessa, though, storms closer, jabbing her finger toward the house. "We'll work around your little project. I still have a key." She strides ahead. I follow just far enough to watch the moment. She jams the brass into the lock. The key sticks, doesn't turn. She twists harder, jaw clenching. A mechanical voice announces, flat and precise, "Unauthorized entry attempt detected, alerting property owner and security service." Vanessa jerks back. The children inside the truck press faces against the window, wide-eyed, at the robotic warning. "You changed the locks?" Her voice is shrill. "Last week," I answer, nodding toward the small black camera eye near the eaves. "Standard upgrade. Motion sensors, reinforced frames. All by the book." Mark mutters something I don't catch. She wheels on him, snapping, "Don't just stand there." His jaw tightens, but he doesn't move. "Your housing isn't my responsibility," I tell her, letting each word fall like a measured stone. "Foundation issues don't happen overnight. You've had time." For the first time, her practiced smile wavers. She looks at the moving truck, then at me, then back to Mark. Desperation cracks through entitlement. "Fine. If you won't let us in, we'll store things on the lawn." She waves the movers forward. The hydraulic whine of the truck's lift echoes. The first piece, an ornate dresser I recognize from our grandmother's estate, slides down the ramp. Its heavy feet sink into the wet grass with a dull thud. "Stop," I say, lifting my hand. The movers hesitate. "This property is under active demolition. Everything not secured will be removed." "Don't be ridiculous," Vanessa barks. "It's just temporary." I reach into my bag and pull out a plain envelope, extend it toward her. "Here, 6-month contract for a storage unit, already paid in full." She stares at it as if I've offered her ashes. Doesn't take it. Her hands remain crossed against her chest. "Storage? We need a home, not a shed." "You need to solve your problem without stealing mine," I reply. A silence opens. Even the children seem to sense it, their small hands pressed to glass, their chatter gone. Behind us, Ray clears his throat, low. "Miss Calder, you want us to hold off until this is settled?" "No," I say. "Proceed?" He nods, signaling to his crew. The buzz of saws swells, drowning the sound of Vanessa's sharp intake of breath. "This will break Mom's heart," she says suddenly, tears glistening like a switch she's flipped. I remember her weeping in high school when she crashed my car, then laughing an hour later when Dad covered the repairs. I remember her tears at family holidays, always dissolving blame into pity. I look at her now and feel only fatigue. "She'll survive," I say. The movers set down another piece, a cracked cedar chest. Mark's hand lingers on it, thumb brushing the lid. His expression is not triumph, but something like shame. Our eyes meet briefly. His lips form the shape of words he doesn't speak. "I'm sorry." Vanessa sees it too because she rounds on him, hissing under her breath. He looks away. I step back, letting the chill air burn through my lungs. Behind me, the crew continues their rhythm. Cones, barricades, measured steps, like soldiers digging in. I realize suddenly how much of survival is logistics. A contract signed 3 months ago, a text scheduled, a lock replaced, a camera mounted. None of it heroic, all of it decisive. Vanessa turns to me once more. You think you've won? You think this makes you strong? I meet her gaze. I think it makes me free. For a heartbeat, the wind snaps through the trees, lifting the caution tape, flapping it bright and sharp. Her face twists, rage, disbelief, calculation. Then she stalks back to the truck, slamming the door so hard the windows shake. The engine growls, gravel spits as they reverse. The barricade holds. Ray exhales beside me, adjusting his hard hat. Expect them back? Yes, I say, sooner than later. He nods, no surprise. We'll be ready. I glance at the manila folder in my bag, edges already worn from my grip. It feels heavier today, not from paper, but from weight it carries. My line in the ground, bright as the cones across the drive. The moving truck disappears down the road, leaving behind ruts in the grass and silence pressed between chainsaw roars. I walk toward the lake, the surface choppy, wind slicing it into shards of light. For the first time, I notice the reflection of the cones and barricades mirrored in the water, fragile but clear, boundaries visible even in ripple. The phone buzzes in my pocket. A new message from Dad. Stop this nonsense. Think of the children. I don't answer. Not yet. Instead, I watch the crew mark the foundation lines in spray paint, bright arrows pointing toward change. Behind me, the house stands still, waiting. Ahead, the wind lifts sawdust into the air like golden smoke. The fight is only beginning, but today the ground belongs to me. 2 days later, the Lakehouse lawn looks less like a homecoming and more like a battlefield. The ornamental grass I planted last spring is crushed flat beneath the weight of heirloom mahogany and cedar trunks. The movers, obedient to Vanessa's commands, stacked furniture in a crooked row like soldiers awaiting orders. Some pieces are wrapped in plastic, others left bare against drizzle and wind. My grandmother's dresser leans at an angle, a drawer swollen from damp. I stand at the edge of the lawn, Miguel's clipboard under my arm, while Ray's crew begins stripping the interior to studs. The hum of saws and the smack of hammers echo across the water, drowning out the quiet disbelief twisting in my chest. Vanessa steps forward, triumphant, gesturing at the furniture. See? We found a solution. It'll stay here until you come to your senses. This is not a storage yard, I reply evenly. It's family property, she shoots back, which means ours as much as yours. I pull out my phone, thumb hovering over a contact saved yesterday. Yes, Lakeside Auction House? This is Lacey Calder. Please proceed with pickup as scheduled. Vanessa blinks. What? They'll be here within the hour, I say, watching her expression shatter like glass. You wouldn't dare. Oh, I dared yesterday, when I saw this coming. Mark mutters. Vanessa, but she cuts him off with a glare sharp enough to slice. The first auction truck arrives within 40 minutes. Workers in matching jackets hop down, clipboards in hand, tagging each piece with practiced efficiency. They document everything: photos, condition reports, labels, the mahogany dresser, the cedar chest, the wingback chair with a broken leg that Dad always swore he'd repair, but never did. Vanessa lunges toward one of the men, shrieking, "You can't take that!" I step between them, voice calm but firm. You abandoned it on private property under active demolition. I have every right to clear it. Her eyes glitter with fury. That's heirloom furniture. Then perhaps you should have treated it with more respect. She crumbles into tears, sobs loud enough to draw glances from the workers, but none of them stop. They've seen worse. They know theatrics when they hear them. Ray leans toward me, murmuring low, "You sure about this?" "Yes," I say, though my throat is tight. "Donate all proceeds to the foster youth program." The clipboard man nods, noting it down. Mark lingers near the cedar chest, one hand resting on the lid. His shoulders slope like a man ashamed of the role he's been forced into. Our eyes meet briefly. His lips part as if to speak, but then Vanessa screams again, and he stays silent. I walk back toward the house, boots crunching over damp gravel. Behind me, furniture thuds onto the auction truck's platform. Vanessa's wails pierce through the chainsaw hum. I focus on the smell of sawdust, the clean rhythm of demolition, proof that boundaries can be built as surely as walls. By evening, the lawn is empty, save for deep ruts and a scattering of leaves plastered to mud. The auction truck disappears down the road, taillights fading like a closing chapter. 2 days later, my phone rings. Vanessa's voice explodes through the speaker. "You heartless witch, the auction truck took everything. That was our family history." I step onto the porch to escape the construction noise, wind snapping at my jacket. History you left on land you don't own. You'll regret this, she screams. Mom and Dad are furious. You've humiliated us. I let her tirade wash over me like static. When she pauses for breath, I answer, calm as stone. I've kept documentation, photos of the items abandoned, security footage of the attempted break-in, police report filed after the trespassing warning. It's all on record. Her silence is louder than her screams. You're welcome to schedule an appointment to see the renovation progress, I add, with advance notice, and only if I approve. You think you can cut us out? Her voice trembles now, brittle with rage and fear. No, I say softly. I think you did that yourselves. I end the call, my thumb steady despite the tremor in my chest. Inside, the master bedroom walls come down, sunlight flooding the space. Dust rises like incense, golden and sharp. Ray lifts his goggles, nodding. We'll have it framed for the new layout by Thursday. I nod back, but my gaze drifts to the bare beams stretching upward. For the first time, I see not the ghost of what was lost, but the skeleton of what's becoming. The phone vibrates again. A new text, this time from Dad. We need to talk. Pastor Williams is coming to dinner. Be there Sunday. The words sit on my screen like a summons. I know the tactic. They'll bring morality to the table now. Try to twist obligation into virtue. I breathe deep, close the message, and tuck the phone away. Above me, the gutted rafters groan. Dust motes spin in light, and for the first time in years, I feel like the house and I are breathing the same air. The week sharpens itself into noise and sawdust. Every morning, Miguel's crew arrives before sunrise, the rumble of their trucks echoing across the lake. By mid-afternoon, the air hums with drills, the steady pound of hammers, the shriek of saws cutting through wood that has held my memories like a cage. The house exhales decades of secrets as walls come down, plaster collapsing to dust, beams standing naked against the cold November light. It's in this stripped state that my parents arrive. I see their sedan through the window before I hear it, silver, gleaming, gliding up the gravel with the deliberation of a procession. Dad drives, his posture upright, as though this isn't a family visit but a board meeting. Mom clutches her handbag on her lap, her mouth a thin line, her eyes darting at the skeletal frame of the lake house. Ray clears his throat beside me. Visitors, he says, though we both know he means intruders of another kind. I step out onto the porch, pulling off my goggles. Sunlight slants through the exposed beams, falling over me like a spotlight on a witness stand. Sawdust clings to my jacket. My work boots crunch on gravel as I meet them halfway. What have you done? Dad's voice carries across the yard, cutting even through the whine of a circular saw. His words are less question than indictment. Exactly what I said I would. A 9-month renovation. Down to the studs. Mom gasps as if each stripped wall is a body laid bare. You've destroyed it. I'm rebuilding it, I correct softly. My vision, my timeline. They follow me through what used to be the living room. Now it is only bones. Studs, subfloor, dust floating in shafts of light. The gutted fireplace yawns like a hollow mouth. I see them falter at the threshold, the absence of walls disorienting, the absence of control worse. Lacey, this is excessive. Dad's tone slides into his client voice, low and commanding. Stop this now, and we can make arrangements for Vanessa's family. There's still time. I laugh, a dry sound that echoes strangely in the open frame. That's not happening. His face darkens, storm building behind his eyes. You've never understood family obligation. I can cut you out of the will entirely. The words hang between the studs like a guillotine suspended. Once I would have flinched, scrambled to prove loyalty, bent myself into knots for scraps of approval. Now I let them fall and shatter harmlessly. You already did, I say evenly. His eyes narrow. What? Last year, when I refused to co-sign Mark's real estate gamble, Vanessa let it slip, said you rewrote the will to protect family assets. Mom stiffens, eyes flashing toward him. The betrayal not mine this time, but his. For a heartbeat, silence cuts deeper than any saw. I reach for the blueprints stacked on a makeshift table and spread them across a beam. This is my children's reading nook. I nod toward the framed-in corner where workers have already installed built-ins. For the foster youth program, the same one that received the auction proceeds. Mom blinks. What are you talking about? The furniture you abandoned here, I remind her. It's furnishing the community center now. Desks, chairs, bookshelves. Kids sat down this week to do homework on tables you didn't want. Dad's mouth tightens, the businessman in him calculating even as pride flickers beneath. He sees the plan, the valuation increase, the tax-deductible donations, the airtight documentation. Vanessa said you sold heirlooms, Mom whispers. Correction, I donated abandoned property. Documented, photographed, approved. She reaches for Dad's arm, her voice rising, trembling in rehearsed distress. Charles, she's made us look terrible. People are talking. I pull my phone from my pocket, swipe open social media. They're praising the donation. The youth program director posted photos. Community leaders called it generous. People aren't talking about shame. They're talking about impact. Dad's jaw clenches. His tone softens, not with love, but with strategy. Let's discuss options. Perhaps there's room for compromise. There it is. The shift from threat to negotiation. For the first time, I hold the leverage he respects most, a better plan. The renovation continues as scheduled, I say, but I'm willing to help Vanessa find alternative housing within her budget. Mom exhales, not victory, but concession. That would be appreciated. Behind us, the crash of a sledgehammer reverberates as workers bring down the final partition of the master suite, the room Vanessa once declared hers. Sunlight floods through the open space, golden and unapologetic. Dust spirals upward, settling over everything like a new kind of blessing. My phone buzzes. Notifications stack. Security company confirming no unauthorized access since last week. Auction house sending a tax receipt. Miguel sharing progress photos. Each ping steadies me further, proof that preparation is stronger than manipulation. Dad studies the blueprints again, his fingers tracing the lines with reluctant respect. I know that look. He recognizes discipline, execution, follow-through. Perhaps for the first time he recognizes it in me. I tuck the papers back into the folder, sealing the conversation as surely as the lock on my front door. We're finished here. As they walk back to their car, dust swirling around their heels, I realize something strange. The house doesn't feel haunted anymore. The studs breathe easier. So do I. But as the silver sedan disappears down the drive, a shadow lingers in my chest. This wasn't surrender. It was retreat. And I know them well enough to know they'll regroup. Sure enough, my phone vibrates again that evening. A new message glows on the screen. Sunday dinner. Pastor Williams will be present. Be there. A summons, a tribunal. I set the phone down on the counter. Outside, the lake darkens into indigo, its surface still except for the reflection of scaffolding. For the first time in years, I feel prepared to walk into that dining room without fear, not as a child begging permission, but as the architect of my own boundaries. Sunday evening, I walk up the steps of my parents' house with a knot in my stomach tighter than any blueprint roll. The porch light burns too bright, casting long shadows across the brick. Through the frosted glass, I see the familiar silhouettes, the stiff line of Dad's shoulders, the flutter of Mom's hand arranging napkins. This isn't dinner. This is trial. The door opens before I can knock. Mom greets me with a practiced smile, her voice sugared. Lacey, darling, you made it. I step inside. The dining room waits like déjà vu. Burgundy napkins, crystal glasses scattering light, roast beef scent, heavy as memory. One extra place setting confirms what I already know. I am not here as family. I am here as defendant. Pastor Williams rises from the chair beside mine. His handshake is warm, his eyes kind, but his presence is strategic. Neutral arbiter. Moral witness. The voice they hope will shame me back into obedience. Lacey, so good to see you, he says, settling again. Your mother tells me you've been busy with renovations. Transformative ones, I reply, sliding into my chair. Dad carves meat with surgical precision, his voice steady but clipped. Pastor, we were just discussing family harmony, how decisions can either preserve or fracture it. I smooth my napkin over my lap, noting the choreography. Dad laying groundwork, Mom readying emotional leverage, Pastor positioned to deliver the judgment. The children miss their aunt, Mom adds, voice dropping into her well-worn register of sorrow. Family needs to stick together, especially in hard times. The knot in my stomach tightens, but I keep my tone calm. I miss them too. That doesn't mean I have to give up my home. Pastor tilts his head, curiosity genuine. Tell me about your vision for the house, Lacey. Dad's knife pauses. Mom's hand freezes on the serving spoon. This wasn't the script. I reach for my tablet, unlock the screen, and lay it on the table like evidence. This was day one. I swipe to the first photo, scaffolding wrapped around the house like armor, crews and hard hats. And this was last week. I show the gutted master suite, sunlight blazing through the open frame. Pastor leans forward, eyebrows lifting. My goodness, what a transformation. I swipe again, floor-to-ceiling windows framing the lake, reclaimed oak beams spanning vaulted ceilings, the new 3-bedroom layout with a private office. The balcony was a structural challenge, I explain, but worth every penny for that sunrise view. Mom stares, fork suspended. It's completely different. That was the point. I open another folder. Here's the project schedule from 5 months ago, and the assessment showing a projected value increase, 40% above previous valuation. Dad's expression shifts, the businessman in him peeking through outrage. He can't help it. He respects solid strategy. This was never about denying Vanessa, I continue. It was about honoring plans I'd made long before her housing crisis. The word crisis hangs in the air like smoke. I swipe again, pulling up older photos. The flood 3 years ago, water lapping at the windows, mold climbing walls, receipts for $28,000 in emergency repairs, screenshots of unanswered texts I'd sent, begging for help. They were all on a Caribbean cruise, I say quietly. Not one of you offered. Mom pales. Dad studies his plate. Pastor's gaze flicks between us, weighing silence heavier than words. Respecting boundaries isn't cruelty, I add. It's adulthood. For the first time, Mom's mask cracks. Her voice is smaller, unvarnished. I should have helped with those repairs. No qualifiers, no conditions. My throat tightens at the rarity of it, an apology that doesn't demand something in return. The front door opens, breaking the fragile moment. Vanessa sweeps in, cheeks flushed, chin high. She strides toward the table, ready for battle. What's happening? Mom said we were discussing the Lakehouse. Her gaze drops to my tablet, still glowing with photos of transformation and receipts. She falters, just for a second. We were, I say, sliding the device back into my bag. I stand, gathering my coat. I've shared my progress. When the house is complete in 6 months, you're all welcome to visit, as guests. From my purse, I draw out a card, embossed with simple lettering. Housewarming, March 12th. RSVP required. I place it on the table. Silence spreads like ink. Mom's eyes glisten. Dad's jaw works. Vanessa's smile sputters into confusion. Pastor studies the card, then me, with something close to admiration. I turn toward the door, my heels clicking against polished wood. The question I leave behind is louder than any closing line. Who will come, and on what terms? Outside, the evening air is cold, the sky bruised purple with twilight. I breathe it in, steady and long, as if inhaling freedom itself. 6 months later, the lake wakes with sunlight, scattering diamonds across its rippling skin. I cradle a mug of coffee between my palms, the warmth seeping into my fingers as I lean against the balcony rail. Below me, the professional kitchen gleams, copper accents and reclaimed wood, countertops polished to a sheen that reflects the dawn. No voices intrude, no demands tighten the air, only birdsong and the lap of water against the dock. The house is finished. Every wall that once held ghosts now breathes with intention. The exercise room occupies what used to be Vanessa's claimed master suite. A reading nook glows in the corner, with built-in shelves, already lined with books donated to the foster youth program. The balcony opens to a horizon that feels wider than anything my parents ever offered me. This is mine. The doorbell chimes. I glance at the camera feed on my phone. Rachel, my contractor, stands outside, a bottle of champagne in hand, her grin wide enough to spill sunlight. I buzz her in. She hugs me the moment she steps inside, sawdust still lingering faintly in her hair. Still can't believe we pulled this off, she says, laughing as she sets the champagne on the counter. Best project I've ever worked on. I smile. You doubted me in the beginning. You wanted to gut a perfectly good house, she teases, shaking her head. Now look at it. Later, the security company's courier arrives, leaving a gift basket on the porch with a card that reads, "For our most respectful client." I laugh quietly at the irony. Respect was all I ever asked from my family. I had to carve it from strangers instead. That afternoon, the auction house owner stops by. He carries photos of the community center furnished with the heirlooms Vanessa abandoned. Children beam from mismatched chairs that now form a set, homework spread across tables that once gathered dust in our garage. The program director cried when we delivered everything, he tells me, pride softening his voice. Said it was their first proper furniture set. I thank him, though my throat thickens. For years, I associated that furniture with entitlement, with Vanessa's constant taking. Seeing it now, useful, alive, loved, it's as if the weight of inheritance finally shifted from burden to gift. Evening falls. I light candles in the living room, their glow softening the hardwood beams above. My phone buzzes. A text from Vanessa. I'm sorry about the furniture. Can we talk? I stare at the words. There's no anger in them, no demand. Just 6 words that don't erase years, but suggest the faintest crack in her armor. I type slowly, deliberately. Dinner next month. Bring dessert. No discussion about moving in. I hit send before I can second-guess myself. An hour later, headlights sweep the driveway. My heart stumbles when I see who steps out. Mom, clutching a small jade plant, and Dad, his hands shoved into his coat pockets, his posture hesitant for once. Their first visit since construction ended. I press the intercom. It's open, I say, unlocking the door remotely. They enter tentatively, like strangers in a museum. Dad's eyes lift immediately to the soaring ceilings, admiration flickering despite himself. Remarkable, he murmurs. Mom sets the plant gently on the side table, her gaze scanning the dining room where a solid oak table now sits, the one I chose, not inherited. Truly remarkable, she echoes, softer still. I serve coffee in handcrafted mugs, watching them take in the space. Mom lingers near the photo wall. Hiking trips, projects I've designed, sunsets over water. Not a single family portrait among them. Her lips part as if to speak, but no words come. This is who I've become, I say quietly. Dad nods, eyes narrowing, not with judgment, but reluctant respect. You've created something remarkable here. The words hang between us, bittersweet. Growth recognized, but only because I forced them to see it. Later that evening, Rachel returns with champagne. The auction house owner shares more photos of the youth center. Even the foster program director calls, voice choked with gratitude. A small, impromptu celebration swells in the house, laughter filling the beams where silence once echoed. When the last guest leaves, Dad pauses at the door. His voice is softer than I've ever heard it. Respecting boundaries isn't cruelty, it's adulthood. He's quoting my words back to me, a quiet admission, a renovation of his own. After they leave, I walk down to the dock alone. The sky burns with streaks of gold and violet, the lake mirroring both. My reflection stares back at me, solid, unwavering. For the first time in my life, I feel it. Not as an act of defiance, not as a performance, but as truth. Peace doesn't require surrender. It requires structure. And in this house, I finally built it. March 12th arrives, dressed in sunlight, the lake shimmering as if it knows this day carries weight. My house, the house that once served as battleground and sanctuary, is alive with voices, but not the old kind. Friends laugh in the kitchen, clinking glasses. Rachel oversees a platter of hors d'oeuvres like she's still my contractor, timing every detail. The foster youth program director stands near the reading nook, eyes shining as children trace their fingers over spines of books. This is the housewarming. I move through the rooms, pausing at thresholds, each space breathing new life. The office overlooking the water hums with possibility. The exercise room in what Vanessa once claimed as her suite pulses with quiet victory. The balcony doors are open, a breeze carrying in the scent of pine and promise. But beneath it all, a current of suspense runs steady. Will they come? By late afternoon, the answer arrives in headlights crunching over gravel. A family sedan pulls up slowly, deliberately. My parents step out first. Dad in his pressed jacket, posture stiff but no longer combative. Mom clutching a tin of cookies, her expression unreadable. Behind them, another car door opens. Vanessa and Mark. I stand at the door as they walk up the steps. My chest tightens, but I don't move aside until I speak. You're here as guests, I remind them, on my terms. Vanessa's lips twitch, caught between pride and exhaustion. Mark simply nods, relief shadowing his face. Inside, the room hushes briefly, then folds around them like a tide adjusting to new rocks. My friends greet them politely. The foster director extends a handshake. Even Rachel offers Vanessa a small nod. No one indulges old hierarchies here. During dinner, conversation flows unevenly at first. Dad remarks on the craftsmanship, his tone less judgment than reluctant admiration. Mom asks tentative questions about the beams, the flooring, the light fixtures. Mark finally finds his voice, leaning toward me. "I should have spoken up," he says quietly. "Back then, I'm sorry." I study him for a long moment, then nod once. Apology accepted. Action matters more. Vanessa doesn't apologize outright. But when dessert is served, cookies she baked herself, her hands tremble as she places the plate on the table. It's a gesture, small but deliberate. Later, as twilight bleeds into the lake, I lead everyone out onto the dock. Lanterns glow along the railing, reflections stretching across water like a path. The children from the foster program cluster near the edge, pointing at fish flickering below. My parents stand behind me, silent, their expressions softened by dusk. "This house was nearly taken from me," I say, my voice carrying over the lapping waves. "But I rebuilt it, and myself, brick by brick, boundary by boundary." No one argues, no one dismisses. As the evening winds down, I linger on the dock alone. The lantern light flickers, mirrored by a sky shifting from gold to deep indigo. My reflection stares back at me, solid, unbroken. Peace, I realize, isn't given. It's built, like walls, like beams, like trust. It stands only when you protect it. And tonight, in this home remade by my own hands, I know the foundation will hold.